Welcome to this new edition of Beyond the Ferry. I'm Robin Lefkowitz. I'm Executive Vice President, Director of Business Development, Branch Administration, and Deposit Operations for Northfield Bank. And I am a proud board member of the Staten Island Economic Development Corporation. For those of you that are not familiar with Beyond the Ferry, this is the brainchild of the Staten Island Economic Development Corporation, who is a tremendous advocate for all the businesses on Staten Island. What do, you ask? They have great conferences. They have wonderful restaurant crawls, such as the crawl all through Newdorp. We just had a great conference that took place where everybody learned so much about different business outreach, and we recognize business leaders on Staten Island. With that said, I have a great show for you today. We are going to talk about real estate. We are going to talk about the mortgage interest rate, which is so timely right now. And we're going to talk about one of our biggest nonprofits on Staten Island. So I have Christine DeHart from Salmon Real Estate. I have Tricia Shevack from Envoy Mortgage. And I have Jessica Dovoor from Snug Harbor Cultural Center. And we're going to talk about what is a cultural center in a few moments. But with that said, I want to get started with our packed agenda. So I want to welcome Tricia Shevack.
Hi.
So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So this is so timely because the Fed just raised interest rates yesterday. And we're in a really strange environment right now. So let's talk about what does that mean for mortgages. And we can go into a little bit of suggestions for people that are looking to buy or sell.
Sure. So, Robin, the way the industry is working right now and mortgage interest rates is unprecedented. I mean, 20 years now in the business, I have never seen something so volatile. But at the same token, you know, it's still a great time to buy, and it's still a great time to be that first-time home buyer, as long as you're educated correctly and you have a good team behind you.
So since you mentioned first-time home buyer, so let's talk about possibly programs that are available for first-time home buyers?
So one thing that first-time home buyers don't realize is you don't need to have 20% down to purchase a home.
Interesting.
You know, you can get away with putting down as little as 3% down, 5% down, and still have a conventional mortgage. And it's fun to try to educate a consumer so that they understand this and they can see the different levels of what their monthly payment would look like, especially in this time and age where housing prices are a little bit different and there's bidding wars and interest rates are changing so rapidly. So it's fun to kind of show them, hey, listen, it's okay, you can still afford the home, but these are the different options that you have.
So you probably have people then that maybe were going to put a larger down payment down and that now perhaps they can't, you know, due to the mortgage environment, they might not have the money available, or there may be challenges in terms of affording the payment. Mm-hmm. So what is a remedy or a suggestion that you have, or, you know?
So it's funny that you say that,
yeah.
Because a lot of times people come to me and
mm-hmm.
they say, you know, well, my gosh, I was looking at 500, but I can't find anything at 500, so
right.
now I'm looking at 550 or 600. Whatever that scenario is, I tell them very simply, do not be afraid of PMI. PMI is not as scary as everybody, or it's not your mother's PMI, as you could say, right? So the monthly payment of that PMI could be so minimal compared to trying to come up with an extra $20,000 or $30,000 in a down payment.
Sure.
It's a good substitute so that you don't have to liquidate everything that you have. You can still afford to purchase that home, and eventually on a conventional mortgage, the PMI will come off.
And just for those who don't know what PMI
mm-hmm.
is.
Yes, it's private mortgage insurance. So PMI, private mortgage insurance, is something that you pay when you don't have a full 20% to put down on a conventional mortgage.
And you only have to pay it until you get to the 20%.
22% actually.
There you
have
go.
to have equity in the property.
So there you go. So now what's available? So we talked a little bit about first-time home buyers. What's available out there for others? I mean, what are the interest rates that we're talking now?
So that's a great question. That's $1 million question that everybody wants to know. What is the rate?
Yeah.
You know, a couple things, right? So interest rates aren't one size fits all.
No.
You and your best friend are not going to get the same interest rate depending on down payment, what your credit score is, the type of property that you're purchasing. So one of the things that I always like to educate everyone is it doesn't matter whether you're a first-time home buyer or a third-time home buyer. You still can get away with putting down 3-5%. There's a multitude of different programs. It can be conventional, it could be FHA, and then of course for those who have served our country, we have a VA loan where they can get away with putting down no money as a down payment, 100% financing.
So now let's talk a little bit about commercial. So now we talked a little bit about residential right now, but let's talk about commercial. So that is also on fire, and right now, let's talk. What do you see in the commercial environment in terms of types of loans?
So there's many different types, again, of commercial products out there. The more favorable, or the one that most people like to lean towards, is something with a shorter fixed period term. But when that term comes due, let's call it an adjustable rate. So it's fixed for, let's say, 5 years. But if you take out a $500,000 loan and you only owe $400,000 at the end of that 5-year term, then your loan will re-amortize based upon the principal balance you have left. And in some instances, can actually lower your monthly payment.
Absolutely, and especially in today's interest rate environment, that's crazy. And is a recession going to happen? Does that mean rates are going to back down? Probably.
You'd
Sure.
hope, or maybe prices come down.
Sure. So there's a lot of what ifs. So with that said, isn't an adjustable possibly the way to go for some people?
So I like adjustable rate mortgages. A lot of times, when professionals talk about it, they shy people away from it. An adjustable rate mortgage is a tool that can be used in a turmoil mortgage environment.
Absolutely.
Or economic environment. It's also a great tool that people can use if they maybe are only looking to own the home for a short period of time and then maybe sell it or have it as an investment and then flip it over.
Sure.
So adjustable rate mortgages are a great product.
So I will tell you that my first mortgage was an adjustable rate.
Okay.
Because the interest rate environment was so high when I bought my first home that was the way to qualify and to be able to get a lower payment.
See, and you're a testament to that.
I'm a testament
you
to that.
used it as a tool.
Correct. And I wound up going down as the environment went down.
Wow.
And then refinanced.
And then you refinanced to probably a fixed product.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
So it is nice to be able to help people get to where they need to be by using experience and just what's going on in the environment.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I like to do. I like to educate people and make sure that they understand that, purchasing a home and a mortgage, when you have the right team behind you and you have people educating you and consulting you correctly, it can be a wonderful experience.
Sure. So that's why I'm hoping that we helped a lot of people today not be afraid of the interest rate environment, but to understand how to navigate through the interest rate environment.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
Is there anything you want to leave our viewers with?
The one thing that I would want them to know is to constantly check in with their mortgage consultant periodically. Once you get your pre-approval, you can't just run out, go find a home, and then touch base 2 months later. In this type of environment with rates increasing and housing prices changing so frequently, it's very important that if they see a home they like, give their consultant a call back and have them price it up so that they have an idea of what they're getting into before they get into something that may not be right.
Sure. And it's also good because then you're not leaving it only up to the mortgage professional. You are helping along the way with anything they may need, or maybe they're just very busy and they haven't gotten back to you yet.
Absolutely.
So by you following up, you're helping them.
Yep, 100%.
Great. Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you today.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello again. So my next guest, you might recognize her. She's Christine DeHart from Salmon Real Estate. And this is exciting because we just talked about interest rates. Now we're going to talk about real estate to kind of like round it out. So we touched on real estate a little bit in terms of first-time home buyers, but talk to me about the crazy prices of the residential environment. You put a house on the market,
And
how long does it take to sell?
So if we price it right, it sells immediately. And that's the whole key, is pricing it right the first time. So, and it's on Staten Island, we look at the houses around your area, what sold, what it sold for, how much it was listed for, the condition, and that's how we come up with a price. We're not thinking about those people from Brooklyn that are thinking, wait, you're putting this up for $500,000, but if I bought this in Brooklyn, it'd be $800,000. So we don't mind bidding it up, and that's why we're going over asking price on most houses, because they're comparing it to Brooklyn, same as Staten Islanders did it to Jersey. Everybody overpaid paid over ask. They didn't overpay; they paid over ask in Jersey, and that's what they did because they were comparing it to Staten Island pricing.
Well, and now the real estate environment in New Jersey is crazy high too.
Yes. Yes.
Especially if you want a shore house.
Yes. Well, of course, we know that I can't live without mine.
So let's talk about the benefits then of this housing crazy environment. Is it only benefiting sellers?
No, it's benefiting buyers too. Because buyers, now that it's the lack of inventory, when a buyer comes into a house, they know they're going to get the right house and it's going to be priced right. Because they know that they're not going to be, the sellers are really serious about selling. And what ends up happening is when you get into a negotiation, you don't know what's going to end up happening. In Staten Island, thank goodness, we still, for the most part, do not waive inspections and appraisals, which they do in Jersey all the time. My sister Sue just bought a house this weekend in Pennsylvania, and she had to waive inspection, appraisal, and attorney contingencies.
Just to move it quicker?
Just to be able to get the deal. They would not take the deal if she did not remove all three of those.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So then it's really buyer beware.
Correct. So Staten Island, we still protect the buyer. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness is right.
Yes.
So do we think real estate is going to come down in price?
No.
Okay.
No. So straight answer. No. So Gary Keller, who is one of the smartest men in real estate, he predicted that our rates would go as high as 8 by the end of the year, but the home prices just won't drop. The need for housing will never go away. You're never going to have a time where you don't have couples getting married that want to have a house. You don't have a time where couples are getting older, their kids go out, and they want to downsize like a good friend of mine did this year. You have, one do, but you still going, housing is always going to be there and always going to be a need. So it's not going to go down. This is not the 80s where you're going to lose all the value that you have in your house. There's not going to happen the same.
Well, I was really hoping the shore houses would go down in price, but that doesn't sound like it's happening.
Well, you know me, the best place to buy a shore house is Seaside Heights.
I know,
because the
you
price
love
is only going up and will be going up drastically.
So let's talk about commercial real estate too.
We know that's what I love.
So we talked about residential and, the inventory pretty much not being there and being bought up right away. Tell me about commercial.
Well, I am very happy to say that commercial is starting to move again. I think that coming out of COVID, people got their PPP loans. People are ready to go and invest again in their business. And we're seeing a tremendous amount of commercial moving now. We're getting more leasing that is getting leased, not just available that people aren't there anymore. We're actually leasing them and putting them out. Land is coming at a premium right now, and people are still vying for it. And on Staten Island, thanks to people like the SIEDC, and I have to say that, we have the manufacturing all along the West Shore Rail Line is coming back like crazy. I just put one up for $4.5 million, and we have people calling all over the place for it because there are things happening in Staten Island that's still moving the commercial market.
Well, and it helps the economy as well.
Correct.
The job market. So then people have money to spend. So it's all very cyclical.
Yes.
In terms of the benefits of everything.
And everything, I look at the SIEDC because they're bringing in outside developers that are coming in and bringing actual life to Staten Island. And that's why that'll actually pay off for the residential, because when you bring in these companies in, you got to house them somewhere.
Sure. So it really does show you that commercial success leads to economic success, which then leads to residential success, so that everything begins to work together in a positive.
Correct.
So now let's talk about a recession. So we're, talking about inflation, and that really did not stop the residential environment. Do we think a recession is going to have any impact?
No. Again, straight answer. No. Move on. No.
No.
So no, it's yes, it will have a somewhat of a, but there's still so many people that need the housing. That, you know, when the 80s, when the recession hit, and we had a lot of new construction homes coming out, and there was just an overabundance of housing out there. So that, and people paid top dollar, and their house price dropped because of the abundance of houses that were out there and available. We're not going to have an abundance of houses available because we're just moving and bringing in so many people from outside our area into here that it's not going to be the same as it was last time.
So let's talk for a minute about, we have new people coming to Staten Island. What type of houses are they looking for? What seems to be the focus for, say, first-time home buyers, people downsizing?
So for residential, the biggest need is for two-family housing, to bring in their parents to come live with them, their siblings buying together. We're having a lot of that, families buying together and going into one house.
So what about big houses versus small houses? Is there something that sells faster? Is there something that's better?
If you have a 6/6 house, that sells immediately. That is the number one demand on the island. And I have to tell you, the smaller colonial one families, or smaller two families on the North Shore, they're going very quickly to the new first-time home buyer.
So now let's talk about maybe like 55 and older. We really don't have much of that on Staten Island. So what is your thoughts on developing that? Is that going to happen?
Yes. So, I mean, I don't want to say everything that I'm
You don't have
working
to tell a
on.
secret.
However, there are developers looking for it.
Okay.
You know, back years ago, before the tides, my father was alive, and he was offered to him and his partner to build there. And no way, nobody's going to move here 85 and plus. But now, 55 and over. But now they are, because people don't want to leave their grandkids.
Right.
So if your grandkids are on Staten Island, you go to Florida, you're going to want to come back. And that's what's happening. I see a lot of returning people from Florida. Once they hit an age where they need their kids or their grandkids, they want to be with their grandkids, they're coming back here. We're seeing a lot of returns.
That's a good point. That's why the two families, like you mentioned before,
Correct.
That's why 55 and older. And you're right. I did not want to move off of Staten Island. I wanted to stay here and downsize or right size and stay local. So,
Right.
you know, I chose a condo. What about condos versus houses?
The condo market is crazy right now. If you put it up, it goes right away. It's absolutely, that's what people want. They don't want to have to worry about cutting the grass. They don't want to have to worry about
Shoveling
the roof.
snow.
Well, we know, yes, that was your concern. Yes. You know, they don't want to do that.
Right.
They want to come home and just be home. Plus the community aspect of it, where, you know yourself, you moved into a condo, all those people became friendly.
Sure.
You walk your dogs together. You know, you have common areas where you hang out together.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're looking for as well.
I agree. And it's funny because it depends on the age group of the buyer, because maybe when you're first starting out, you don't want that type of a community.
Correct.
And then as your life changes and you grow, you sometimes want something different. So if you were to give our viewers a last bit of advice, what would it be?
So you talked about mortgages. You know, when you buy or sell real estate, you need to have a team. You don't need to have a mortgage broker, a realtor, an attorney. You need to have a team, and the three people have to work together. And that's the best advice I can give to anybody, because, you know, you're talking to your realtor every day, but your realtor should be in conversation with your mortgage broker, should be in conversation with your attorney, so that we can, together, we know pretty much all the issues that are going to come up, and we're able to figure them out together. And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure it's a team, not separate individuals.
Awesome. So thank you. So I think that we learned a lot today. We learned about mortgages. We learned about the both residential and the commercial aspects on Staten Island. Thank you so much, Christine.
You're welcome.
Our next guest, I am so pleased to welcome. I want to introduce Jessica Dovoor, who is the president and CEO of Snug Harbor Cultural Center. So welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to Staten Island.
Thank you.
So you're here how long now?
I've been in the role for 6 months.
Wow. So how has your transition been?
It's amazing. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot to wrap my arms around, but it's an incredible place. It's an incredible community. I've been just so welcomed by everyone I've met, and it's been really wonderful. So exciting
Awesome.
and a lot of fun.
Well, we're glad to have you. So tell everybody, what is Snug Harbor, for those that don't know, and then what is a cultural center?
Sure. Well, Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden is one destination and infinite experiences. We're a host of world-class organizations on our campus that is bringing arts and culture and nature to Staten Island and to the 5 boroughs.
So now, you talked about a botanical gardens just now,
Yeah.
and you talked about cultural center, and you talked about many different things.
Yeah.
So let's tell everybody what does that mean?
It's a really interesting structure at Snug Harbor. So my organization, Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden, we are the property managers, if you will, of the entire cultural center. We're 83 acres. We have 26 buildings, and a beautiful campus, and we have 14 formal botanical gardens on our grounds. And within our incredible buildings, we also have several independent nonprofit organizations, museums, there's schools, there are a whole host of artist studios that all coexist on the campus together. So we're one big community, and then my organization, Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden, also operates some of the museums on the premises. So we operate and care for all of the grounds, the botanical gardens. We also operate the Newhouse Center for Contemporary Art, which is the Contemporary Art Museum amongst the museums. And then we have constituent organizations, our friends at the Staten Island Museum, the Noble Maritime Collection, and the Staten Island Children's Museum, who all operate independently as independent nonprofits, but they are all part of our campus community. And then along with all those folks, we also have a host of other small businesses, everything from an incredible catering organization to small businesses. We have a grief counseling site on the premises. There's a music conservatory. There's an incredible art school called Art Lab. So really, soup to nuts, sort of everything you want about arts and culture is right there. We also have a farm on our premises, so we grow incredible fresh produce that we also provide to the community. So there's kind of something for everybody.
I agree. So you have so much to do and so many things for people to see. I think you should tell everybody your website.
Sure. Please come check us out at snug-harbor.org. And so on snug-harbor.org, you'll learn all about everything going on at Snug Harbor. We have an events calendar that shows you everything that's going on. There's something every single weekend. We have big community events in our South Meadow field and stage. Every one of our constituent organizations have different exhibitions and shows that are happening all throughout the summer. We're open 7 days a week and from dawn to dusk, and it is really incredible all the things you can do at Snug Harbor.
It's also a beautiful campus.
It is.
With very old buildings.
And a really interesting history. So originally, Snug Harbor Cultural Center and Botanical Garden
I feel
was
sorry
built.
every time you say that.
It's long.
It's very long.
But we call it, you know,
Yes.
Snug Harbor
Snug
is what
Harbor.
everybody calls
Yes.
it. So Snug Harbor is originally was formed as a retirement home for sailors. And it was built by a man, wealthy, one of our founding fathers, basically, named Robert Randall, who had an incredible fortune. He had no heirs. He left it to a foundation that created one of the first retirement homes in the United States. And it was a retirement home for sailors, for worn out and decrepit sailors. And it was, they created this amazing campus. And the idea was about dignity, bringing dignity to the sailors at the end of their lives. And for me, I think, you know, and the the foundation was quite wealthy because he was a wealthy shipping magnate back in the day, and Alexander Hamilton wrote his will, and so it's a really interesting story. But they had a lot of money, and they built these incredible buildings for the sailors to live in, to enjoy. Built a music hall, built cathedrals and hospitals and power plants, and it was really kind of a standalone city, and really an architectural wonder. I mean, every type of building. From Greco-Roman architecture, it is spectacularly beautiful.
So you just mentioned Greco-Roman, and you have different gardens.
We do
that are themed.
We have a Chinese, the New York Chinese Scholars Garden, which is an incredible Chinese garden modeled after Suzhou Chinese Scholars Garden. We have the Richmond County Savings Foundation Tuscan Garden, which is modeled after a beautiful Tuscan plantation garden.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous, and it's a very common place for people to have celebrations, weddings. My office overlooks the Tuscan Garden, and every weekend I get to listen to different celebrations happening. It's wonderful.
That's so nice.
And then we have an assortment of other beautiful formal gardens as well. There's a white garden, there's an English garden, there's a shade garden. So it's really incredible.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is beautiful. It's something that if our viewers have not yet experienced, they absolutely.
And it's the
should go.
only botanical garden in New York City that is free of charge.
I was going to say, and parking too.
Yeah, and parking.
Yeah.
And so you can enjoy our grounds for free. And all of the nonprofits, different groups have different ticket prices depending on their site. And one of the most exciting things is we are just launching now a Discovery Pass. So now we can have visitors come. They can buy one ticket and access many of the major attractions with one pass. So we're all very excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, also, let's talk about volunteerism.
Yes. So we need a lot of help, and it's we're a really pretty small nonprofit in terms of our finances, and we have a big responsibility. So a lot of this, taking care of this entire campus, is a lot of work, and we really rely on the help of the community of all ages. So on our website, if you're interested in volunteering, you can go and sign up and inquire. We also have some really amazing programs for youth. Like right now, we have 90 local youth working in our workforce development programs on the site, learning all about farming and how to take care of the gardens, how to interface with visitors. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved, and our website can tell you all about it.
And give them that again.
It's snug-harbor.org.
So you have awesome history. You have beautiful gardens.
Yeah.
You have pretty much a place where families can go for free and spend a day and have a lovely time.
Yeah.
You have different museums, including contemporary, including
Staten Island
older,
Museum, which
correct.
is a whole natural history.
Absolutely.
The whole history of Staten Island
Yes.
you can learn about. You can learn about maritime history and the history of the waterfront. It's really there's something for everybody.
And the Children's Museum.
And the Children's Museum.
You
Don't
just
forget.
said it. Something for everyone. Thank you so much, Jessica. You are a great guest.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And with that said, I want to thank our viewers who watched us today. Again, this is Beyond the Ferry, brought to us, I should say, by the Staten Island Economic Development Corp. Again, I'm Robin Lefkowitz from Northfield Bank. And if you'd like more information on the Staten Island Economic Development Corp, please go to SIEDC.org, follow us on social media, and I look forward to welcoming you next time on Beyond the Ferry.